Weirdo Prog.
Hold it upside down and look at its urogenital tract.
Is that the prognosis for Prog?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I remember Eric had mentioned, well, progressive rock has lots of time changes and rock stylings. It's usually a rock band. But I think what separates Prog a little bit is the complex compositions. There's sort of an evolving narrative.
Yeah, I've got anything that has extreme time change in it or anything beyond the normal rock instrumentation. Uh,
Oh, I do. I have two exceedingly weird albums for today. Neither of them are what you'd call prog rock records. But I think there's also something inherently redundant about Weirdo prog. I mean, all prog is pretty weird.
Okay, so I have Bo Hansson, who is Swedish, and
Good
this is
choice.
Attic Thoughts from 1975. It's a progressive rock instrumental album. Um, and he studied Hammond organ. And then, like back in his discography in 1969, he did music inspired by Lord of the Rings, which sounds really stupid, but it actually charted and is a wonderful record. And this is one of his solo records to follow, along with Magician's Hat, and there's some other ones as well. So what's sort of interesting about this is distinctive is if you look on the inside, you see that instrument there. That's a mellotron. And this music is playful, subdued, but ornate and propulsive rock. But it's sort of the low-key rock. It's not like, hitting the drums really hard. It's more subtle and with violin. And the reason for that is he used session musicians, which gives it a nice streamlined sort of effect. He also wrote choral and chamber music, but this is a complex, sophisticated compositional record with hints of classical and brief passages of ambience. And evidently, he jammed with Jimi Hendrix, and no one's found those recordings. But Hendrix covered one of his songs, Tax Free, was written by Bo Hansson. Yeah, for a Swedish guy, he played in a lot of different groups, but these solo records are all really satisfying and and worthy. And it goes in my Prog section. Then I have Penguin Cafe Orchestra, first record from 1981 called Music from the Penguin Cafe. This is Simon Jeffs, actually, his name. He's got a few more titles under that moniker. Signs of Life, Broadcasting from Home, both highly recommended. I describe this as eccentric avant pop, and he is from Sussex. I studied classical guitar, which really shows on this record, and moved to Japan and was influenced by their ethnic music. So here's a quote from Simon himself. I am the proprietor of the Penguin Cafe. I will tell you things at random. And he describes his music as modern semi-acoustic chamber music, but it's also experimental and it flows from dour to jovial. And he plays, along with a bunch of sidemen, ukulele, voice, violins, cello, electric guitar, and ring modulator. I keep this in my prog section uh, with all their records. All right, Eric, get the balls a little.
Get the balls a little. All right. So the first record I have here is Patrick Vian, Bruit et temps analogue. So sound and time, analog sounds and times by Patrick Vian. So this is the only record that Patrick made. to my knowledge, and it's got great creepy cover art. You can sort of see reflected on the woman's helmet the face of some kind of alien whose position I guess you occupy as the viewer. So that's you're looking at. Um, and it kind of lives up to the sound. There's this sort of burbling, percolating synthesizers and lots of weird jazzy kind of noodling in a that sort of sounds a bit like an extraterrestrial lounge situation. Yeah, this doesn't have any of the kind of crazy prog rock stylings, but it's kind of it's like a it's like if somebody applied the prog concept to sort of new age jazz. A very odd record, but well worth seeking out. And all right, so that's item number one, Patrick Vian, Oui, étant analogue. Then, also from France, Dashiell Hedayat, Obsolete. So Obsolete by Dashiell Hedayat. That is obviously a pseudonym. The Dashiell comes from Dashiell Hammett, the American crime author, and the Hedayat is an Iranian modernist. And the guy who went by this moniker adopted any number of names over his decades-long career before he finally cast himself out of a window back in 2013, if memory serves. So anyway, this is a great record that is basically backed by the whole of Gong, the band by David Allen and I guess Gilly Smith in 1960s Paris, and they just have a great romp through drugland basically. That's the album starts out with the real fist pumping anthem Chrysler or Chrysler as it's pronounced. It's just about a pink Chrysler that won't run in the back of his building complex's lot where he goes to do things that you can't do elsewhere. Um, this record has a couple cameos on it too, including uh, William S. Burroughs, very briefly. The counterculture is well represented, and the second side takes a really dark turn because it's called Cielo Drive, and it's about the events that
Manson.
Manson. Cielo Drive, it's a more ominous piece in theme, but in practical execution, it actually is kind of just as fun. The real standout track, though, is probably Long Song for Zelda, which is actually a sort of wistful and melancholy story about voyeurism. Uh, Living large with the elves and gnomes of Gong, flying high on the magic mushroom. It says there's even a reference to that here on the back cover. Lots of great wah-wah, lots of great extended jamming, and a fun anarchic sensibility that takes you deep into inner and outer space. So, yeah, obsolete. All right, it's all yours, Chris.
Okay. So my first choice here um, is well, it's sort of a double album, actually. I might not be pronouncing it right, but it's Yarandu and Hara are the two records by an Australian guitarist, and I guess you'd call him composer, named Rob Thomsett. These came out in the mid 70s originally on incredibly small, private press runs. Its reputation only grew over time. I have the two albums collected by Now Again. I think this came out 2016 or something like that. But so this is proggy fusiony, ethno, but he was part of this sort of nascent, hippie, free thought scene. And he plays on the first record, he plays guitars, flutes, clarinet, percussion, glockenspiel, auto harp, bass, and alto sax. Some other guys did help him, because both of these records are totally haunting. And most of the songs are quite short. Some of them come off as almost like, they could be parts of a movie soundtrack or something, incidental music. But they've all got these pretty impressive little like melodic flourishes or touches. There's strong melody running through all this, and sort of in keeping with the spirit of the times. I guess Australia back then was a very conservative place, and the subject of Aboriginal rights, the First Peoples place in Australian society was just coming to the attention of youngish white Australians. Both of these records, after Thomsett, I guess, delved into Aboriginal Dreamtime, mythology and beliefs. So it's kind of an homage to that as well. Okay, second record, kind of going in a different direction. This record by Confessor. I think it's named Condemned. It's from 1991 or 92, I believe. And this was, at the time, an almost indescribably sui generis record. They are known as a technical doom band. And which is to say that, I mean, they genuinely didn't sound like anybody else at the time. So this was kind of, the height of the thrash era in metal. And they had thrash metal tone. The guitars, these were thrash metal guitar tones. They were kind of bright, and searing. The very, the total opposite of sludginess. And they were kind of thrash riffs as well, but nothing ever gets going faster than mid-tempo, which is, of course, very unthrash. The drumming is very tricky and busy. There's fills all over the fucking place. When scientists gave LSD to spiders in those famous experiments, and the spiders, like, they spun these webs that were all crazy. That's sort of how these songs come off. And the vocalist as well, he doesn't growl, he doesn't shout exactly. It's more like it's this clean, high-pitched caterwaul, and and it's kind of it lures you in, and you're always wondering what's around the next corner in any of these songs. And if you go to YouTube, you can find a video of them playing this weird sort of like Battle of the Bands contest at what looks like a water park circa early 90s, and it's fantastic. And the announcer is this straight looking sort of guy, and he's like, all right, and that was Confessor, and the crowd really loved you, that's a great performance or whatever, and they're playing these just incomprehensibly weird songs. So anyway, great record, definitely worth checking out. Also definitely an acquired taste, but I love it.
Waterpark performance.
Hold it upside down and look at its urogenital tract. I think we're seeing an example almost.
Sometimes, yes.
Not as good as a donkey's ass. Certainly primitive.
Manson.
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 Yeah.